The AD 365 Crete earthquake occurred at about sunrise on the 21st of July in the eastern Mediterranean, with an assumed epicenter near Crete. Geologists today estimate the undersea earthquake to have been a magnitude 8 or higher, causing widespread destruction in central and southern Greece, northern Libya, Egypt, Cyprus, Sicily, and Spain. In Crete, nearly all towns were destroyed. The Crete earthquake was followed by a tsunami which devastated the southern and eastern coasts of the Mediterranean, particularly Libya, Alexandria, and the Nile Delta, killing thousands and hurling ships 3 kilometers inland. The quake left a deep impression on the late antique mind, and numerous writers of the time referred to the event in the works Geological Evidence. Recent geological studies view the AD 365 Crete earthquake in connection with a clustering of major seismic activity in the eastern Mediterranean between the 4th and 6th century AD, which may have reflected a reactivation of all major plate boundaries in the region. The earthquake is thought to be responsible for an uplift of 9 meters of the island of Crete, which is estimated to correspond to a seismic moment of tilde 1029 cm. An earthquake of such a size exceeds all modern ones known to have affected the region. Carbon dating shows that corals on the coast of Crete were lifted 10 meters and clear of the water in one massive push. This indicates that the tsunami of AD 365 was generated by an earthquake in a steep fault in the Hellenic Trench near Crete. The scientists estimate that such a large uplift is only likely to occur once in 5,000 years. However, the other segments of the fault could slip on a similar scale, and this could happen every 800 years or so. It is unsure whether one of the contiguous patches might slip in the future. Literary evidence. Historians continue to debate the question whether ancient sources refer to a single catastrophic earthquake in AD 365, or whether they represent a historical amalgamation of a number of earthquakes occurring between AD 350 and 450. The interpretation of the surviving literary evidence is complicated by the tendency of late antique writers to describe natural disasters as divine responses or warnings to political and religious events. In particular, the virulent antagonism between rising Christianity and paganism at the time led contemporary writers to distort the evidence. Thus, the sophist Libanius and the church historians Nzeemin appear to conflate the great earthquake of AD 365 with other lesser ones to present it as either divine sorrow or wrath, depending on the viewpoint, for the death of Emperor Julian, who had tried to restore the pagan religion 2 years earlier. On the whole, however, the relatively numerous references to earthquakes in a time which is otherwise characterized by paucity of historical records strengthens the case for a period of heightened seismic activity. Kurion on Cyprus, for example, is known to have been hit then by 5 strong earthquakes within a period of 80 years, leading to its permanent destruction. Archaeology. Archaeological evidence for the particularly devastating effect of the AD 365 earthquake is provided by a survey of excavations which document the destruction of most late antique towns and cities in the eastern and southern Mediterranean around AD 365. Tsunami. The Roman historian Ammianus Marcellinus described in detail the tsunami hitting Alexandria and other places in the early hours of the 21st of July AD 365. His account is particularly noteworthy for clearly distinguishing the 3 main phases of a tsunami. namely an initial earthquake, the sudden retreat of the sea and an ensuing gigantic wave rolling inland, slightly after daybreak, and heralded by a thick succession of fiercely shaken thunderbolts. The solidity of the whole earth was made to shake and shudder, and the sea was driven away, its waves were rolled back, and it disappeared, so that the abyss of the depths was uncovered and many-shaped varieties of sea creatures were seen stuck in the slime, the great wastes of those valleys and mountains, which the very creation had dismissed beneath the vast whirlpools, at that moment, as it was given to be believed, looked up at the sun's rays. Many ships, then, were stranded as if on dry land, and people wandered at will about the paltry remains of the waters to collect fish and the like in the hands. Then the roaring sea, as if insulted by its repulse, rises back in turn, and through the teeming shoals dashed itself violently on islands and extensive tracts of the mainland, and flattened innumerable buildings in towns or wherever they were found. Thus, in the raging conflict of the elements, the face of the earth was changed to reveal wondrous sights, for the massive waters returning when least expected killed many thousands by drowning, and with the tides whipped up to a height as they rushed back, some ships, after the anger of the watery element had grown old, were seen to have sunk, and the bodies of people killed in shipwrecks lay their faces up and down. Other huge ships, thrust out by the mad blasts, perched on the roofs of houses, as happened at Alexandria, and others were hurled nearly 2 miles from the shore, like the Laconian vessel near the town of Methone which I saw when I passed by, yawning apart from a long decay. The tsunami in AD 365 was so devastating that the anniversary of the disaster was still commemorated annually at the end of the 6th century in Alexandria as a Day of Horror. The Roman Emperor Valentinian I sent an investigator to find out about problems with the tax situation. Gallery. Effects of the earthquake visible in the ancient remains.